All right, guys. This video will be way shorter, I promise, but we just got to finish up some things. So the Articles of Confederation, many problems. This guy down here is representative of a state, and under the Articles of Confederation, the smaller unit had way too much power. They were too strong. So each state wanted to make sure that the central government, which would be like a government that governs over all of them. That one legislature where each state got one vote is a central government. Now our central government is Congress and President in Washington, D.C., but that's not where we're at yet. So they want to make sure that that central government didn't have too much power because at least theoretically that central power would be able to tell them what to do. Now, under the Confederation, they couldn't, but that's what they wanted to make sure. So this is the reason they set up a Confederation, is that they didn't want other people telling the states what to do. So they gave that central power practically no actual physical power. They didn't give them the ability to do anything that a government needs to do. They expected each state to do those things. So the state could set taxes in their own borders. The state had their own army. The state was expected to put down any problems. One of the concessions, or one of the conceits we see here, is the concept that the states could handle the problems. I mean, what happens if you got a guy that's raiding across state borders and running into another state? How do you handle that? What if a foreign country comes and attacks 7 states at once? Shouldn't you have some form of cooperation or a bigger army to handle them? Yeah, so the power was in the hands of the states, and that's because they would rather fail than have a new king. They didn't want the king was a central power. They didn't want one person or one group of people to be able to run the country, or in this case, the group of countries, right? So they gave them practically no power. The government had a few things they were allowed to do, but even then, they had to ask the states to do it because the states were more powerful. So if the central government, which we're going to call Congress in this case, said, "That's it, everybody has to build a road system in their state so we can have better trade." Well, Georgia didn't have to do it if they didn't want to. North Carolina didn't have to do it. Imagine if New York didn't do it, right in the middle of everybody, and they didn't build roads. Well, the rest of the roads are kind of useless, aren't they? So they had to hope that the states would pay for the stuff. They had to hope that the states would agree. They had to hope the states would do what they were told. Spoiler alert, they're not going to do what they're told. And that's actually where we'll stop for our notes today. But let's talk about your assignment. What I want you to do, if we look at the Flipgrid here, that's not it. There's your notes. All right. There's going to be a couple links here for your videos. I'm still making those. But there's a website to go to, and it's just real basic. And it's going to list kind of all of the freedoms and rights that you have as Americans. This was the goal of the Articles of Confederation, was to protect your rights. They did that by making the government incredibly weak, and a weak government can't ruin your life. They will protect your freedom of speech and your freedom of the press and all that kind of stuff. So here's a kind of a quick list of all of the rights and freedoms with a sentence or two explaining each. I want you to read through that, and what you're looking for is the one that you think is the most dangerous, not to American citizens, but to the government. A government gives you the right, so therefore, how could that be used against them? So think of freedom of assembly. How could a freedom of assembly be dangerous to a government? How could a freedom of assembly be used to hurt or take out a government? Okay, so whichever one you think is the most dangerous, I want you to make an argument for that, and then you're going to go to Flipgrid, okay, and you're going to record a response to this question. Please watch the video. I'm not going to play it for you now. That'd be weird, but the video really explains what I'm looking for. I think it's 2 minutes, maybe 3, real quick investment. Then figure out which right or freedom you want to tell me and make the argument for being super dangerous for the government. Okay, and you're going to record up to 1.5 minutes. I would say between 30 and 60 seconds is probably a great time to go for, of why that right is dangerous for the government. So you might want to say, look, I chose the freedom of blank. Here's what that means, and here's how it could be terrible for the government. Here's how they could ruin the country. Here's how it could take down the government. Here's how it could make a lot of problems for the government, and then turn it in. So we're just kind of trying to get the idea of, do you get the concept of rights? Do you get the concept of the compromise between the government and the people? Okay, turn that in. If you have any questions, email me. And last but not least, I have tomorrow off. I took the day off a long time ago because of the election tonight. So I will not be around to answer email questions. So anything questions you have about anything, you're going to want to get them in today. I will have tomorrow's assignment ready to go. But you're going to want to get any questions in today because I am not going to be around tomorrow. Thank you very much.